welcome to day 4 of my banqueting build log for Stronghold Kingdoms. In this past day, I have finally achieved the rank of Alderman. So I'm currently working on getting my second village, which I hope to have by tomorrow, so that should be exciting. This was a day that progress really took off for me, because with the research completed that I needed to access all 4 banqueting good types that I intend on using for the rest of this build, I was making the maximum amount of honor I could at the current rank that I'm at. And as you can see here, I have some resources built up, and clicking impressive would get me 4,500 honor. All the honor goods extra below that I end up selling, rather than actually accepting these mediocre amounts of honor at this point in the game, because gold is more valuable to me. So let's jump into the research and take a look at that first. Alright, in the industry tab, I put an additional 2 points into tailoring, maxing it out at level 8. I put an additional 3 points into metal bashing, also maxing it out at level 8. 3 points went into carpentry, again, another research, maxed out at level 8. And hunting, I put 2 points into, which is also now maxed out at level 8. So as you can see, I have pretty much completed all of the banqueting research that I'll need to do for this build. In addition to the banqueting research is done, I also put 1 point into fletching to unlock the Fletcher's workshop, so I can begin to produce bows, as my peacetime is running a bit short. So those are going to be in high demand shortly. I don't necessarily have to have a very strong village right away, but it's important to project strength. In other words, if other players see the enemy returning from your village to the siege camp, they know that your keep is wide open, and this is a serious problem once you have exited peacetime. So I'm not going to be building a castle with the intent of actually withstanding any player attacks, but rather to give the illusion that my castle, or to give the impression, and correctly at that, that my castle is at least strong enough to withstand attacks from the enemy AI. So as I was referencing some military strategy right there. And speaking of which, in the military tab of the research tree, I put an additional 2 points of research into fortification. And I plan on continuing to max this out to get access to the great towers right away. In my previous build, I had gone for the lookout towers at first, but once you commit to building those, you have essentially invested time in that I would be better off investing in the Great Tower to begin with, if I can afford the research for it. In addition to the 2 points I put into fortification, I put 1 point into command and 1 point into longbow. So I now have the Fletcher's workshop unlocked, as well as the ability to recruit archers, although only a maximum of 20 at my current command army size. If we look down here towards the bottom of the tree, after hitting the rank of Alderman, I put 1 point of research into leadership, and I'm currently researching captains, which should be done, well, in 44 seconds. So yeah, while I'm doing this video, as a matter of fact, so I'll just add that to the notes. Lastly, in the education tab of the research tree, I put an additional point of research into hull capacity for a total of 7 points now. This gives me a modest hull capacity size, but it's still not going to be enough if I continue to build Banquet good generating buildings in my village. So expect me to focus some more research on that sometime in the near future, likely, probably after I get my defenses up a little bit better. So probably interested in taking a look at the village. As you can see, here I have reduced my food rations to ×1 to give me additional food to sell to the market. Unfortunately, in my local area, the price of apples has crashed already to around 60 gold, so I'm really not making a whole lot off of that 66 gold at the moment. So yeah, not making a whole lot of gold off of that anymore, but cheese is still selling for a decent price, and of course banqueting goods will be selling for a decent price for quite some time. So if I'm in a real need of some gold, I can always divert my banqueting resources in that direction. So what am I doing here? What am I doing here with my banqueting goods? I have 4 of everything except for hunter's posts, in which case I currently have 5 placed down. I have 4 hovels set up for a maximum of 12 population, but given the rate that peasants are coming in now, it's taking around 7 hours for one to get here. I'm not really worried about overpopulation at the moment. As a matter of fact, this woodcutter's hut could use an additional peasant, obviously. I placed 2 Fletcher's workshops, and they should be done by tomorrow morning at the latest, which is good. Once that is completed, I'll also likely be playing some bodkin casting cards to increase my bow production. So that sort of ties in quite nicely with me covering the cards that I used in the past day. If we take a look at banqueting first, I used 2 advanced deer stalking cards, 2 advanced furniture making cards, 2 advanced metalcraft cards, 1 tailoring card and 1 advanced tailoring card, 2 advanced orchard cards, 2 advanced milkmaid cards, 2 woodsmanship cards, and 2 stonecraft cards. I was going to get back to the deal with why I only played 1 advanced tailoring card. And the answer to this is really quite simple. You can't buy it. See, the only available tailoring card for you to purchase is the first tailoring card, and that is simply the ×3 bonus, which is going to make things a lot cheaper for us, but it's also reducing my productivity. When I first started this, I wasn't quite aware that advanced tailoring could not be purchased, so unintentionally, I have placed a couple of cards in my previous build log that are not going to be possible for you to replicate without, opening some card packs or having the luck of the draw when you're getting your free card for the day, because that's the only way to actually acquire an advanced tailoring card. I had a few left over, so I guess it's a good thing I used those, but from now on I'll likely just be using the ×3 tailoring card. The other 3 banqueting good types that I use, venison, furniture, and metalware, they all allow you to purchase the advanced version of the card for card points. So I really don't see any reason to not use them, because even though I'm not going to be able to actually hold banquets with them, because I'm going to have a disproportionate amount of these first 3 resources as opposed to the cloth. Even if I do build a disproportionate number of tailor's workshops, I really do end up needing the gold on a regular basis. So I invested quite heavily in the banqueting research, and it's going to pay off for me in more ways than one. If I might, I'd like to divert your attention to the parish that I currently hold. Now, not a whole lot has gone on here in the past day, but I did manage to build a stone quarry guild once my second flag came in, and my development pattern for this parish is likely to continue the same. The only reason I haven't upgraded it yet is because I absolutely need to get as much gold as possible to get my second village. Once I have that second village, then I'll focus more on upgrading the parish, but right now, getting the second village is quite important to me. And when I'm talking about a sort of a long-term strategy for the development of this parish, I will likely be doing productivity over army. So obviously, I'll want to be putting down those banqueting guilds as soon as possible for the 4 types that I'm going to use. This is going to cost a total of 12 flags, so it could take me a while if I don't actually manage to raid any parishes, and to be honest, I just don't have the research required to do so at the moment. So it looks like I'm just going to have to play it safe and simply wait for the flags to generate themselves. That is really the type of game that I've played a lot, and it's what I'm familiar with. If you have the initiative and manage to go ahead and flag raid other parishes, more power to you. You're going to be able to build those guilds much faster, and you should see a much better rate of progress than what I currently have. But this is how I'm building mine, and that is really what this log is about. So as you can see right here on the map, I have 1 vassal and 1 liege lord. So let's talk a little bit about the liege lord, because this would be slightly atypical for most players. Now, my liege lord is also the general of my faction, and it's not quite as easy to get somebody that high ranking to offer to liege lord you if nobody knows you. Building your social capital in games like this is important, but it shouldn't matter too much for you, because regardless, you'll likely be able to find a liege lord who hopefully is just a couple of ranks above you at least, who is willing to take the risk if you're an unknown player and offer to be your liege lord. Well, for my liege lord, I'm currently making 1,820 honor per day. That is quite a nice amount of honor, obviously, and it is largely due to the rather great rank discrepancy between me and my liege lord. Overall, the amount of honor that I'm making per day is significantly it shrinks the significance of the amount of honor that the Liege Lord deal is giving me down to a rather insignificant amount. I'm not going to say it is insignificant, but it is not as paradigm shifting as you might think it is. Well, I think it pretty much covers everything of importance in the past 24 hours, so thank you very much for watching, as always, and I hope to see you next time. Oh look, it froze up. Look at that.
Stronghold Kingdoms. The battle has just begun.